You might have come across this channel while searching for some Blender tutorials online, and if you're watching this video right now, you have likely decided to subscribe. So I have decided to take you on a short journey into the behind the scenes of everything that happened at Blue Inversion this year, 2020, which has been a hard year, and we have survived through it. So let's take a quick look into whatever I did and whatever happened on this channel and for the business as a whole. And also I will be talking about a few things that I have in mind for the next year. And yes, this is the podcast, the Blue Inversion podcast, which has been put off for a long time now, but I'm gonna make a comeback, and this is gonna be weekly from now on, and more on the later actually. Let's get into it. So let's start at the beginning. I am Blue Inversion, obviously. Some of you might also know me by my real name. Blue Inversion is my artist name. I also call my studio Blue Inversion, and of course my channel and everywhere. So Blue Inversion is kind of like the top line brand under which I want to put all of my work so that it's a one cohesive unit. And that's because I tend to do a lot of different things. So it's much easier for me if people can find me under one name. So that's that. So far, I've made a few Blender tutorials. Blender is this amazing 3D software for those of you who are watching it for the first time, maybe. It's free, it's open source, but it's as good as any industry standard, and it's on the verge of becoming industry standard, and it's nowhere less. In fact, it's much better in some ways compared to the industry standards, and it might take over in a few years. So anyways, so that's what I have done so far, and that's what most of you guys know me for. I also made art this year. In fact, surprisingly, it's a lot more art than I had ever made in a year so far. And it was fun to be able to get back to it actually. I missed the feeling of making art. It was just not possible for me to balance working on tutorials and software products while juggling school. That was until 2019, when I finally decided to go all in with my creative work, and I quit college. 2020 was basically the litmus test for my business online as a creative, to get a solid proof of work that this can be a sustainable thing. So this year it was very important for me and my business as a whole, because after all, my creative work has to make money for the whole thing to work, right? But then the pandemic hit. My anxiety got worse. I wasn't really sure if people were willing to put any money on 3D plugins, or if businesses will hire my studio for creative work anymore, now that the economy has dipped. But to my surprise, and thanks to people like you who believed in my work, my plugin Smart Shaders was well received. We survived the pandemic and passed the litmus test. I worked on a few client projects too. Something else happened this year. The whole crypto art space opened up, and it got a lot of attention. I minted a few of my works, and even ended up selling a piece. It's crazy how I went from knowing nothing about crypto to that sale. If we forget about all the technical blockchain magic that's going on under the hood, it's really a revolution in itself. The fact that art auction is now an open market, and finally we can sell our works directly, that's crazy. We do not have to be a part of a movie or a game company to make a living off of our art. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, or this whole crypto art thing, then don't worry, you can quickly Google that. It's not that complicated to understand, but nevertheless, I will make a video about it sometime soon. Till then, you can just read a few of the resources available online. Anyways, it might be too soon for me to claim that it's going to work in the long run and that it's going to revolutionize art forever, but I think it has found enough success so far that we can be optimistic about the future for this. For me, 2020 has been an absolute blessing. If we overlook the pandemic for a second, I'm finally doing work that I love. Finally, I have a 24-hour day uninterrupted by other human beings. I'm also working from my sweet bedroom at home for now. That alone cuts a lot of overhead costs. Now, in 2021, I would like to bring more quality to you through my work. One big shift will be the podcast. I want it to be consistent starting next year. You will also see me expand into other topics which I care about outside of 3D. The whole style and pattern of the podcast will likely change, so keep an eye on that. There will be more tutorials as usual on creative software like Blender that I'm already doing. And I'm also considering some music, digital audio workstation tutorials too. So let me know what you think about that. Speaking of music, I know some of you guys like the piano compositions I do for my tutorials. So I hope to bring you full-fledged songs next year under my artist name. Blue Inversion, that is. I've always been secretly writing music and lyrics for a long time. It's about time I finish my work in progress tracks and start putting them out. I'm also curious how all of this is going to come together as a singular identity. Because my work wants to go in a lot of different directions. And if I cannot handle the diversity properly, it might be dangerous for the whole identity I am trying to create for myself. Also, it will be difficult to turn something which wants to go in so many different directions and turn it into a singular creative work. This quote by Zig Ziglar, it sums up my situation pretty well. Lack of direction is the problem, not time. Once again, lack of direction is the problem, not time. But I need to make art, music, podcasts, animations, and everything that I'm currently doing and I'm planning to do in the future. As a creative person, I have to do all of that. But I also cannot deny the excitement of figuring out the algorithm to a procedural shader, let's say, or when coding a plugin, making tutorial courses. The way technical stuff directly helps so many people, I cannot do without that either. I have come to terms with it. I cannot focus on only one of these and ignore the rest. I also cannot do them one at a time and wait for years before I can do the remaining of them. I used to think it's a lack of patience, but I realize now it's just who I am. That's how I'm wired. That being said, no matter what medium or context I'm in, I want to make remarkable work. Quality art. I don't want to compromise with that ever. I'm not sure about where I will be and what I will be by next year, and the year next to that, and so on. So I've decided to make this type of introduction episode for every year to give you my current creative state. It will also be fun looking back at the progression decades from now. Finally, all I can see is a long way ahead of me. In 2020, we were just getting started. Hope to see you next year. Happy holidays and a happy new year.